Hello and welcome to the Cardboard Herald podcast, where we talk with creative gamers and game creators. My name is Eric, and this week I am joined by Trey Chambers, creator of Harvest, Argent, the Consortium, Empyreal. Welcome into the podcast, Trey.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hello. How are you doing today?
I am exhausted. This is the first week back at school. I'm a teacher, so
Yes.
yeah. And I'm teaching 3 preps this year: government, creative writing, and English. So I am like at my wit's end, but I'm here.
Well, happy to have you here. I'm glad that we caught you in the first week of school exhaustion. That's always great for a teacher.
Yeah.
Well, happy to have you. Have you gotten to play any games this week or last?
Yeah. My game day is on Sunday, and we played a bunch of new games. Campy Creatures, another Keymaster game. That was a lot of fun. And we played I'm like blanking on it, but the big game was Vantage. That's like the big popular game now, so we got to play that. And that was a lot of fun. It's kind of a silly game, but it's fun.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on it? I did the demo at Gen Con, but I feel like I didn't get as good of a grasp of the game as like actually playing it. I know Jack was a little bit tepid on it.
Yeah, I would say treat it as an experience and not a game kind of situation. Um, we played it back to back because we were having so much fun. So like it is a fun experience, but if you kind of treat it like a game, I'm not sure you'll have a good time because like you don't have a lot of control. It's like a choose your own adventure book essentially. So like you can do something and like something wildly unintended happens, right? And there's not a lot of way to like plan for things. But if you treat it as like an experience, like, oh, let's just see what kind of crazy adventures we get into, then I think you'll have a great time. And we did. We played it back to back because we were having so much fun. But also to put it in perspective, the first game took 3 hours, and we only won because of the timer. There's like a timer system built in where eventually, if you play the game long enough, you'll just win. But we hadn't made any progress on our objectives other than the basic mission. The basic mission, we destroyed it in like 20 minutes. And then the second game, we played it for 30 minutes. We beat the initial mission in like 20 minutes. We got an epic victory condition within 30 minutes. And we were having so much fun, but we had just started playing. We were like, well, let's just keep going. And so we got another epic quest, and we had already completed it. Like, so that's just the wild variance it could have. Like, you could have like impossible objectives that you have no idea how you're ever going to accomplish, and then you could get objectives that you've already done, and then you've like instantly won the game. So it's kind of crazy, but I would highly recommend people try it if they like adventure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was my big takeaway from hearing about it from Jack, and then also just playing the demo, was it feels very choose your own adventure in a way that Jack doesn't play a lot of RPGs, and I think like this feels very in line with people who like RPGs are going to like this.
Yeah,
it was my big takeaway.
If you like the Myst computer game, I would say like that was like what it most reminded me of. Was like you were dropped into this strange world and crazy things start happening, and there's puzzles to solve, but you never know what's going to happen next. So I had a great time with it. I don't know how I feel about it as a game, but as an experience, it was a great time.
Rad. Yeah, I think that does seem to be the big takeaway that I've seen from other people as well. Cool. Well, I played Fliptoons for the first time this week.
What is that?
So it's now I forget the publisher of it, but it was one of the big games I saw at Gen Con. It's definitely lighter weight. It's from Thunderworks. But it is you have tunes like it's like Steamboat Willie era cartoons that you're trying to gather into the next big picture, and you only get to play 6 of them at a time, and they all have like effects when you flip them. And basically the goal is to get 30 points in one flip. And if you do that, if you're playing solo, you win. If you're playing multiplayer, that triggers the end of the game. and then everybody else gets one more flip. So it's a little bit like you're building your deck and then just hoping that the cards you flip will eventually make you 30 points from what's out there. It was kind of cool. It's definitely lighter weight than I thought it was going to be. But it is. The art style is great. I think that era of cartoons is a really intriguing art style for this kind of game. It works really well.
There's also that Vagrant story or whatever. I haven't
Yeah,
played it yet, but I love the art in that game. I really want to try that game. It looks interesting.
I feel like that game just feels like it's so big. It is such a big game, and I like big games, but it is. That one is one that I feel like the art style feels not congruent with the actual gameplay. But then also, I mean, it's similar to Cuphead, which that works really well. So
Yeah.
I need to try it. I also need to try it out to know. But yeah, I got Fliptoons, and then I did. Hatchet Games released a jigsaw puzzle version of Micro Macro Crime City.
Oh
So
yeah, I saw that.
I like yesterday sat down and was like, oh, it's like just a 500 piece puzzle. I can probably knock this out pretty quick. I did not knock it out really quick, but I did get through all of it.
Okay.
And it was like a very interesting experience because it's all black and white, so it's a difficult jigsaw puzzle. But then
Yeah.
it also is like, as you're placing the things, it's a micro macro style map. So you're like, oh, wait, I saw this character. They were over here. Oh, I think this is where they go. Oh, yeah, that fits perfectly.
Yeah, are you solving the cases as you build the map? Is that what's happening?
So, no. You build the map, and then after you've built it, they have like 42 questions that are all like, these ones are, I know micro macro is usually described as like, where's Waldo, but with murder. But this one is, it really is like where's Waldo style questions where it's like, oh, where is this scarecrow? But because you've built the map,
Okay.
it's like, oh, I know exactly. I know exactly. I put that piece there. I think it would probably work better if I had done it with multiple people, but I was left alone, and I cannot be held accountable for doing a puzzle by myself. But it has like 42 of those style questions, and then 2 of like their standard style cases that you can solve. But that's it. It's pretty light. Yeah, my big takeaway was I still had a lot of fun, and it felt still like micro macro, even though there weren't a ton of cases, because it did have like that sense of, as you are building the puzzle, it all kind of like links together where you're like, oh wait, I know where that is because I just saw this character. Yeah, so that's what I've been playing this week. And no complaints. I kind of wish I got a heavier game in at some point or another, but
Yeah.
it was a little bit of a busier week this week
I
for
did
me.
not get a heavier in. The other game I played was Moon Colony Bloodbath. Um, that was a crazy game, but it is not heavy.
Yeah, our guest last week was talking about that as one of his favorite games of the year so far. So, and I need to get around to it. I need to go get a copy of that to play it, because it sounds up my alley. I like sci-fi
Yeah.
themes. That's like a really big.
It's fun and wacky. It was a good time. I greatly enjoyed it, but you can't really take it too seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm glad you're on the podcast, and I think it's time we get started with why I brought you here, which is to kind of just chat about you and your games and the things that you have coming up. I think the first place to start is Harvest, which we on the Cardboard Herald listed as our favorite game of last year. Very happily, I think it really struck home with us. And so I was wondering if you'd walk me through, first of all, the process of getting Harvest published through TMG and then having to go back to the project after they were no longer publishing it.
Yeah, so Harvest was my fastest game to get published. Like, it went from like first idea to signed in like less than 6 months, which is like really fast. Um, And basically, I just decided like I love farming things. I'm a big Stardew Valley fan. Agricola is one of my favorite games, and I wanted to like distill the farming theme down into like a 30-minute to 1 hour experience because you can't always play Agricola, sadly.
Yeah.
We have lives and things like that. So that was kind of the inspiration, was just like let me get the farming genre down to like a quick game, but still like a strategy game that had like hard decisions, right?
Hmm.
And so I designed it based on that, and I brought it to Gen Con. Actually, got signed at Gen Con, and I got a meeting with TMG, and I think they were the first publisher I showed it to, and they like immediately signed it. So it was just happenstance and uh, perfect coincidence, perfect storm. And I loved working with them. They were great. And sadly, of course, they went bankrupt. Um, Also, they didn't crowdfund it, which I thought was a mistake because like it didn't, crowdfunding essentially is free marketing, right?
Yeah.
So it didn't blow up like Harbor did, which was their other H game, and they were going to do other H games, but then they went out of business. Um, so I felt like it didn't reach its full potential with
Hmm.
TMG. And so I like once they went out of business, I kind of mentioned online like, hey, Harvest is available if anybody wants to reprint it. Like it's out there, it's done, it's ready to go. And then Keymaster reached out to me and they were like, hey, like we're interested in publishing Harvest. And then I thought they were just gonna reprint it, but they ended up changing pretty much everything. So
Yeah, I mean, I think for the biggest thing that I saw initially is just the theme is so much different. So you originally had it as the theme published through TMG, this kind of like whimsical fantasy world.
yeah, I had magic potions, and that was part of the concept. And um, it was like a fantasy world, but like not super serious fantasy world. It was
Hmm.
like lighthearted fantasy. Um, and Keymaster decided they wanted to take it into the anthropomorphic animal, theme, and also get rid of like the magic, which I was totally fine with. It wasn't like a big element of the game, so it was
Hmm.
no big deal. It just kind of explained some of the wackier powers that people had.
Yeah.
And I always think fantasy themes are fun, but yeah, I love the theme, the current theme and art. I love Tiara, who did the art. She was amazing.
Hmm.
So I really love what Keymaster did with it too. So they're very different vibes, but I like them both for different reasons.
Yeah, and I guess another question I have just on that is, did get republished, and it seems like a lot of things changed. And how much of that was you sitting on the project for longer and reapproaching it versus Keymaster said this is going to make it more marketable?
Um, yeah, basically I thought it was just going to be a straight up reprint. So I thought like, hey, free royalty money. And then they were like, we love Harvest, we want to publish it, but could we maybe work on like could we do some development, like see if we can make it better? And I was like, sure, thinking like it was going to be small changes, but by the time development was done, we changed basically every aspect of the game. So it went from I didn't think I was going to have to do any work to doing like 6 months of heavy development, to almost create a brand new game with the same theme.
Hmm.
So it was fun though. Working with Keymaster is awesome, but it was a lot of work and a lot of new ideas and testing things out and trying new things. So
Yeah, what is your favorite change that came from the whole process? It sounds like it was a really intense 6 months.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, and it does seem like it again the game is wildly different. So which of the changes was the one that you felt the strongest about?
I really like the expanded board. So just having that large board, because the original board in Harvest was very small and it was only a few spots. So I guess even though the playtime is only slightly longer, I feel like there's a lot more game there. Like it's 3 workers instead of 2 workers. And there's more spots on the board, there's more to do. So I feel like they really kind of expanded it in a satisfying way without like really blowing up the playtime. Um, And most of my, well, probably all of my top 10, except for maybe there's like a party game in there, but most of my top 10 is like all heavy Euro games. So um, making Harvest like a little bit heavier, a little bit, more game, I was all about that. And they did it in such a way that didn't blow up the playtime. So
Yeah.
to me, it's more satisfying game. And you look down at your farm and it looks like just more interesting, more developed than it was in the original game, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it this I'll just say this theme grabbed me a lot more than I think whimsical fantasy did. That's maybe more. I just think that this art style is cute, and I think it does really work. It works really well with what the game is now. And we have a couple more things coming out with Harvest. We have the street fair and the fall festival expansions coming out. You've already returned to this project once. What is it like returning to it again to work on some expansions here?
Well, that I was super excited about because I always wanted to do an expansion to Harvest with TMG, but they just never got around to it. So doing this expansion was so much fun with Keymaster and really just adding so much more content. It comes in a very small box, but it adds so much to the game, and it really kind of just like makes that space even bigger. More choices, more things to do. Now there's cards in the game that you can acquire that either give you special ability or it's like set collection for points, and that's really fun. So I really love those expansions, both of them. Street Fair is an even smaller expansion. It's literally an envelope full of tiles, but what it does is it replaces certain spots on the map and adds different rules to the game, so it really changes up the replayability.
Yeah, I obviously we're super excited that there's more Harvest coming out. With the expansions coming out, I want to loop back to a comment you made on a designer diary during the initial Kickstarter for Keymaster's version of Harvest, which was you said, "I hope this game is wildly successful, so Keymaster will be up for an expansion," which they are. You did it. Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
And you mentioned just now, and also in this comment, that you had an expansion designed for the OG that never got a chance to publish. How much of this expansion is tied to the expansion you had planned with the original?
I would say they're fairly similar. The original idea for the expansion for the original Harvest was a fifth player expansion that added more spots to the board and added mushrooms as a set collection device. We kept the mushrooms, although they changed it to pies.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah, yeah. But who doesn't love pie? So it was probably a good change. So the set collection's still there, and there's more spots on the board now. There's more to do. So I would say it's very similar, but not quite the same. Because before it was like going into a cave and you would find like items and stuff, but essentially a lot of that has been ported over in this expansion. So
Yeah.
they're pretty similar.
Yeah, and in that comment, you were kind of like hoping the game would be wildly successful, and I would say that it is. When you were originally pitching this game, both to TMG and then when it got published by Keymaster, did you how much of a surprise versus, oh yeah, this is a great game that I made? Did you experience from seeing how well it's done?
Well, yeah. So it got into Target and Barnes and Noble, and to me, those were like life goals of mine was to get something into a big box store. So thanks to Keymaster making the case to them, I've achieved like a lifelong goal. So I was super excited about the success of the Kickstarter. Super excited it got into big box stores. And yeah, it's I guess pretty surprising. I mean, I knew the game was going to be good and successful. I just didn't think it would be this good and successful. So,
Any other lifetime goals that you have on the horizon that you think are accomplishable?
Yeah, I mean, I also write my degrees in creative writing. So I have a book that I finished a few years ago and, you know, I'm just looking for a literary agent basically. But, that takes a lot of time, and I've been focusing on game design since that's helping me pay the bills.
Yeah.
But eventually, I will find a literary agent and get that book published. That's the other
Hmm.
big life goal that I want to accomplish.
Yeah. How did you get started in game design? I mean, it obviously you started doing it at some point or another, but I guess what pushed you towards taking it a bit more seriously?
Yeah, so I've always made games. Like even when I was a little kid, I would make little games for my friends. And but I never like thought about getting into board game design. It was just like never really a thought that I had. And then I played a lot of board games when I was a kid, but then never really. I was more of like a video gamer in high
Hmm.
school and college. And then after college, I met some friends in Houston that showed me Catan. You know, everybody.
Yeah.
Um, we used to call it Settlers. That's how old I am. Um, but yeah, so they showed me Settlers, and like I was just mind blown. Like Settlers was like nothing I'd ever played before, a totally different experience, and I loved it. And we played it every night, or not every night, but
Hmm.
every week. We would have a Settlers night, and we would stay up late and play. Um, and we did that for months, and finally it started to get old because it was the same game over and over again. And so I was like, well, there's got to be other games, right? And I just stumbled upon Board Game Geek and found out about Ticket to Ride and Agricola. Um, and so like then I just got into the hobby, right? And I became
Hmm.
a gamer. And then that led to being at a game night at a friend's place, and they showed me some custom components they made. And I asked them how they made it, and they told me, and it was like super easy. And I was like, wait, I can use this method to make prototypes.
Hmm.
And then after that, it was easy. It was just like, oh, I just make prototypes of my games, and then I went to conventions and showed them to publishers, and eventually, Level 99 was the first one to publish one
Yeah.
of my games, and uh, that was it.
Yeah. Yours feels your story of getting into game design. It feels a lot more lighthearted than mine. Came out of spite. I recreationally do game design. It started with I played Villainous and really hated it, and I was like,
Yes. Okay. Good. I
I
hate
can
that
make a
game too.
better game.
So
I can make a better
yes.
game than this.
Yes.
Speaking of level 99, you have a couple other games other than Harvest that people should check out. We just Harvest is the one that has an expansion coming out, so we did want to talk about that starting off. But can you walk me through getting your first game published with level 99 with Argent?
Yeah. So I was showing Argent. I showed Argent to like every publisher, and they all said it was good, and then they all said it wasn't the right fit for them. The classic line, like,
Yeah.
"This is a great game, but it's not a good fit for us." It's a perfect fit for Level 99, but I didn't know who they were. They were very small at the time. They had
Hmm.
only made BattleCon and maybe like one or two other games. Um, but it was at BGG Con, and it was at one of the first like publisher speed dating. It might have been the second or third year they had started doing it. And it was before, like now it's like the publishers go from table to table, right? This was just like a prototype room where publishers would be there, but you didn't know who they were. They were just wandering around.
Hmm.
And the owner of Level 99, Brad Talton, he happened to sit down and played a full game of Argent. Um, at the time, it was just called the Consortium, but he played a full game, and at the end of the game, he was like, "I want to publish this game," and I'm like, I was just like desperate to get signed because
Yeah.
I had been showing Argent to people for like 3 years, and like just rejection after rejection after rejection. And when he said he wanted to publish the game, I was like, yes, please publish this game. Now I would do like research to make sure like this publisher's on the up and up and all and
Yeah.
everything. But I was just so excited, and I didn't know what I was doing at the time, so I was just like, yes, I will sign whatever you put in front of me. But luckily, he's a great guy, and working with him has been wonderful. And we have a third game that I'm
Hmm.
doing with Level 99 that should the Kickstarter should come out like next year. So I'm excited about that.
Great. Any details you can share? Or is that under NDA right now?
Um, yeah, I don't think he's announced the actual title, but the codename title he has announced, which is I think Falcon. That's not the name of the game, but and I think he revealed that it's like a area control type of game, so not a game that I've made before. I've mainly done like worker placement. Um, But I've been working on this game for like 7 years, so I'm just excited that it's almost done. It's in like final testing and
Hmm.
balancing now. And yeah, it's very exciting to finally work with Level 99 again, and also finally finish this game that I've been working on for so long.
Yeah. Do you approach designing an area control game differently than you would a worker placement?
Um, yeah, I would say it takes a lot more testing, I feel, to do like an area control game, because so much depends on how other players act. Whereas like
Hmm.
worker placement, I can kind of optimize it in my head, or do solo by myself. But like an area control is so dependent on like how other humans are going to react sitting at a table. So that's the main thing, is I haven't really done much like solo testing. It's like when I need to figure out what to fix in the game, I have to get people to sit down and play it. Um, versus like more Euro style games that you're already playing more independently, so it's not as difficult
Hmm.
to get the testing done.
And the next question I have is going to be on Imperial, which I just want to point out a fun little quirk that I found out. Your two games are direct, Imperial and Harvest are directly next to each other in the BGG rankings.
Oh, they are?
Yeah,
I did not even know
it
that.
is 2,129 and 2,000. Oh, they were when I looked at it. Now they don't look like they are. What was I
Yeah,
looking
I
at?
mean that list changes day by
Daily.
day, but
When I looked
it's
at
still
this,
cool
I
that they're
saw
so
that
close
and
to each other.
I thought that was a very uh oh, maybe it was this one. Now I'm all sorts of confused. But they
Oh
were
yeah, they're about 15 places apart now.
yeah, I thought that was a fun little coincidence. But the next one is about Imperial Spells and Steam, which is it's a Magic Train game. Uh, Anything that has a train in it is now a train game.
Yeah,
Would
I would
you
call it a train game.
would you mind talking through getting? You've had at this point with Level 99 games, you had published, and you're returning to them as a person who's worked with them before. What is the difference like in bringing a game to a publisher that you've already worked with?
It's so much easier because they trust you a lot more, and y'all already have a working relationship. I've only worked with TMG, Keymaster, and Level 99 because I always like give them first pass on new projects. I'm like,
Hmm.
here's a game. Do you want to publish it? And so far, they've pretty much picked up all my stuff that was good. Um, so it's so much easier to go to someone you have a working relationship with, and y'all know each other, and you know what kind of games they like and all of that. So yeah, I would I'm happy to work with other publishers, but I've also heard horror stories from my fellow designers about certain publishers. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy to work with Keymaster and Level 99. They're both great companies. I probably shouldn't say that because then other designers will pitch to them and
Yeah, yeah,
and fill up their
terrible
schedule.
companies.
Yeah,
Very bad,
never
terrible to work
never
with.
work with them. Please don't pitch them games. But no, I have nothing but great things to say about both companies.
And I think Keymaster is just at least for me has been interesting with how they've been they've republished Harvest. They're republishing Samurai is Hanami here soon. I guess I are there any game designs you feel like you've had like on the back burner that would be worthwhile to bring? I guess I don't know where I'm going with this question. I started it with like a really firm grasp of what I was going to ask, and then I lost it. Uh, I guess what with your game designs, at what point do you start considering, oh, this is a game that I should be bringing to a publisher versus this is a game that I this might need to just stay in the back burner for a while.
Yeah, so essentially, I try to only show the publishers obviously the best ones, the ones that I think that are closest to ready. The problem is I just have too many ideas and not enough time. Like once I retire from teaching, I can actually devote time to develop all these ideas, but I have literally like probably 100 games in my various folders that I think are good publisher games, but like it takes time. Um, the reason why so many bad games still get published is just like people don't take the time to like develop them. You can't just like, well, obviously you can because it happens all the time, but
Yeah.
I don't want to put my name on a box that's just like a mediocre game, right? So like I want to spend, months if not years developing it into a product. And especially since I have a day job, like there's only so many games I can do that with. But I do have lots of games, that I eventually want to develop into publishable games. It's just I don't have time. There's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, I read a quote yesterday from Daniel Piechnik, the designer of Radlands, where he said that now that he has a game that is published and is very well received, that he feels so much more pressure to put his name on things that are going to be good. Like he
Yeah.
just feels like a lot more stress to make sure that if he's putting something out, his fans are getting something that is a good game. Which I
Yeah.
just thought was a really interesting quote as like a retrospective, because I feel like people who are starting out with game design are, especially if they're going to be inexperienced, just trying to get it published through whatever means possible.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was a cool quote that you
Yeah.
kind of.
And my advice would be like, just if you're not published yet, take your best game and just keep working on it, keep making it better, and eventually, you'll find the right fit. But I don't think you want to have like 10 different games that you're shopping to publishers. I think you should focus on your best one, put your, best foot forward. Unless you have maybe you have like a light party game and then a heavy strategy game, like maybe because those are two very different
Yeah.
audiences, two very different markets. You could probably shop both of those around, but like don't shop around 10 Euro games. Figure out which of those 10 is your best and then focus on developing that one into the best game it could possibly be.
In a few weeks, we're actually going to have Cameron Art on the podcast as well. One to talk
Great.
about Thieves Mark, and then also to talk about his time developing for Keymaster. But as I guess like a little dip into that, you said Keymaster kind of they decided they wanted to do a new theme. They reworked the mechanics to that. As a designer, what is your role in the like day to day? You said for 6 months you're doing intense development. What does that look like with Keymaster?
Yeah, so they involved me pretty heavily in like the testing and development, but not every publisher does. I've talked to designer friends who like once they sign the rules off, like the publishers just develop it in-house. But both with Level 99 and Keymaster, like they both wanted me to be like hands-on in the development. So I got to take an active role in how the game turned out, which is my preference, although it does take a lot of time. Like, oh wow, I'd love to like hand over the rules to a company and then they still create an awesome game. But like,
Yeah.
what if they take the game and they make changes and that you don't support those changes, and then it's like, well, and then I don't want to have to like put a note in the rule book or ask to my name to be removed off of the box because I think it's a bad game. So like I love being involved in the process, but yeah, it's very time consuming doing all this testing and development. Um, but I think it's worth it in the end.
Yeah, I can see why, as a person who has spent, like I'm saying in your shoes, as a person who has spent a lot of time working on this game, still feeling like you have some control over it would be probably much preferable.
Yeah.
In the hypothetical situation, let's say things went terribly and you had to take your name off of the box, would you do a stage name? What would your stage name be?
That's funny. I wonder if there's one for game designers because you know how there's one for movies. I forget what it is, but
Yeah.
there's like if you pull your name off as a director, they put some name on there, but it's like in a
Oh,
bunch of movies because a lot of directors have pulled their names off of a movie before. Um, so yeah, I think game designers we should all now that we have a union.
yeah.
we should all band together and decide like what is our I don't
What?
want to stand by this game
Yeah.
name and start putting that on boxes.
Yeah, well, for I was thinking about it. I used to work in the film industry, and I knew a lot of people who had like their pseudonyms, where it was like, if you see this name, you know it means this person, but this is non-union, so this is we're not going to touch it here. But I do remember that that's a thing that happens in the film industry as well, where the director is just like, this is a terrible project, and they throw on a different name. Yeah, I there might be, like, I just don't know. I don't know or I'm saying for games, there might be one where it's like, this one name has published a lot of games. Nobody knows who it is, but it's out there. For you, I mean, you probably obviously play a lot of games. Do you have like a top list, at least, of this past year so far?
Um, I would say like funnest experience was probably Vantage.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean, even though that was last weekend, and that could just be recency, not recency. Um,
This is
no,
not
that's
a
right.
this is not
Like
a
recency
standard
bias.
list. It can be recency bias. That's totally fine.
Yeah, I think it's just recency bias. But let's see, what are the other big games that came out this year? I really, I don't think it came out this year, but I finally got around to playing it. Is Seventh Citadel.
Hmm.
Um, I have a group that's been playing that, and that game is really fun. I never got the chance to play Seventh Continent, but I don't really want to because it seems like Seventh Citadel is like Seventh Continent but better.
Hmm.
Um, so I've really been enjoying that game. I would, to people interested in Vantage, I would also recommend Seventh Citadel because it is also choose your own adventure, but you have a lot more control and there's a lot more strategy to it, I think.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not as wacky. So, uh, I don't know which one I prefer. Right now, I have them both rated as an 8, but they could both go up or down. Um, Trying to think if there's any other games I played this year that really blew me away. I'm not sure. What about you? What games have you loved this year?
So the tentative list that I threw together, because I asked uh Board Gaming Bud, who was our guest last week, this question. The tentative list I put together was Galactic Cruise. I've had a lot of fun with. It's a really
Uh,
big game,
mhm.
and
Yeah, I rated that an 8 too. That's a great game.
I like it a lot so far. Tag Team is up there already. Like, I just got that at Gen Con, and that is a super smart two-player game from Scorpion Mask. Uh,
What's Tag Team?
so it is, you take control of two superheroes against another two superheroes, and you basically are battling head to head with somebody. The really fun twist in this is how you battle is you start off with two cards. Every turn you reveal both those cards and do their effect, and then you draw three cards, and you have to add that somewhere in the deck, but the deck can never be shuffled. And so every turn, you and your opponent are like building out your decks and trying to like put your attacks where they don't have defense, and like just trying to level it out. And they have a lot of unique characters that just function a little bit differently.
Okay.
This is like one of the most thinky games I've played in a while that isn't like a heavy Euro, where it's like trying to deduce whether your opponent is going to try to start attacking more or defending more. I like it a lot, and the different characters are really fun. I've only had it for like 2 weeks at this point, because I got it at Gen Con, but it's a really cool game. And it's Scorpion Mask, so it's the same people who did Sky Team. So the production
Oh
quality
yeah,
is great.
I love Sky Team. That's a great game.
Yeah. So this is their next output as a studio. Um, those
Okay, I
two
brought up.
definitely take the list. Oh, sorry. Go right ahead.
No, no, no. I was just gonna say I brought up my list, so I can
Oh,
now
okay,
answer the
good.
question more thoroughly. Of I also brought up 2024 because a lot of these games I didn't even get around to
Yeah.
playing this year, so I'm counting that. Civolution, I rated a 9. That game's awesome.
Hmm.
Um, have you played it?
I have not played Civilization. No.
It's like Stefan Feld's heaviest game.
Oh, great.
And I'm very hit or miss with Stefan Feld, but
Hmm.
like that game just pushed all the right buttons, and I love Civilization games. Endeavor Deep Sea,
Hmm.
Wondrous Creatures, the new edition of Cyclades is excellent.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Let's Go to Japan. Really short, quick,
Hmm.
but super fun game. Black Forest, the new Uwe Rosenberg is awesome. Um, and Fellowship of the Ring trick taking game. Love that.
Yeah, I love that game. That is a really good game. I love trick
Yeah.
taking games. The I if you put like a little twist on trick taking, I'm going to love it. That is like generally a good rule of thumb for me. In the last couple, like very again, this is very recreational game design, but the last couple game designs I've been working on have all been like trick taking with a twist.
Yeah,
It's fun for me.
I've been playing a lot of trick taking lately. I've been playing a lot of fishing. That's a really fun game.
Hmm.
And Rebel Princess is really fun. Uh, so yeah, it looks like the highest rated game that I've played in the past year has been Shackleton Base. That game
Oh
is really
yeah, I got to demo that at Gen Con. The person teaching it did not do a very good job, so we were the
It is
me
a
and the
hard
other.
game to teach. In
I
their defense, it is a hard game to
I
teach.
don't necessarily blame them, but it was very much they tried to fit a like 30-minute teach into a 5-minute teach demo, and I was like,
Yeah,
I'm vaguely getting it, but it feels like there's a lot more going on. I do want to go back and try it again at some point. Well, by try it again, I just mean try it for the first time by actually learning the rules all the way
yeah,
through. But it does feel like I mentioned at the start of the podcast, I love sci-fi. That is a good theme for me.
yeah.
Uh,
That and SETI have been really good. But
mhm.
I just what I like about Shackleton Base is that it has like 7 modules, whereas like SETI only has 5,
Mhm.
which is only a difference of 2, but that's so much more replayability because
Yeah,
all the permutations of 5 different options versus 7 different options, like 7 gives you so many more. So I just
yeah,
feel like Shackleton Base has a lot more replayability. Um,
yeah. I
but
mean, I think I first of all, I feel like my opinion on SETI is just that I feel like you get to the modularity a bit too late in the game, where it's like
hmm.
the aliens don't affect the game as much. Whereas it feels like in Shackleton Base that it does affect it a lot more, like just
Oh
through
yeah,
from the start.
you yeah you get involved with the corporations on turn
Yeah.
1. So
So
yeah,
I think that introduces a lot more. I do agree, a lot more permutations, but also just it seems like it's in your face from the get go, whereas the aliens and SETI are more. You'll if you don't know what you're doing, you'll get to those right as the game is ending, which is a little less fun.
yeah.
That was my. I played twice, and we didn't really know what we were doing either time. So, um,
Um, I also recommend Hot Streak, which came out.
mhm.
That's a fun light betting game. If you like Camel Up, it's like the next step, and to me, it's way more fun than Camel Up. It's a little crazier though, a little wacky. Um, and the gang, we always play a lot of the
Yeah,
gang. The gang is like a classic, like new party game classic. We can pull it out and have fun like at any time.
yeah.
I added more chips to my game, so we can play with 8 players now,
Ooh,
and that's a lot of fun. So
rad.
yeah.
For game designers, are there any games that you think were either the most influential to you or like ones that you feel taught you the most about game design?
Hmm. Great question. I would say for me it was Agricola because besides the farming theme and also teaching me worker placement, it was probably the first worker placement game I played.
Oh, that's a
Um,
big first worker placement.
yeah. Well, when I played it like 15 years ago, there wasn't a
Oh
lot.
yeah, yeah, that'll do it.
Wasn't nearly as many as there are now. But it also taught me like replayability and how important like it is to prevent a game from being samey. And that's why I still play Agricola to this day because there's just so much replayability in that box that you'll never see the same game twice or even close to the same game twice. And I think a lot of games kind of take the wrong lesson from that because they'll design a game with like lots of options, but they all feel the same. Whereas like Agricola, every game feels so different because the cards are so like wildly different. So
Mm-hmm.
like you might get a bunch of cards that pushes you into animals, and then next time you play it, it pushes you into like not developing your farm at all and just
Mm-hmm.
like focusing on getting cards out. And then the next game, you get an extra bedroom and you have all kind of crazy animals in your house. And then the next game, you're like really concentrate on pumpkin farming. Like
Yeah.
there's just so much in that box. Like I'll never get sick of playing Agricola. Um, so I'd recommend like for Euro designers, I think Agricola is a good example of like a game that has like a lot of replayability built in and also teaches you like some fundamentals of Euro and like also tension. Your Agricola has so much tension. I don't like Caverna as much. I do love Caverna, but not as much as Agricola because Caverna loses some of that tension because you can feed your family anything. Like my
Yeah.
family's eating rubies now. It's like okay.
Yeah.
Um,
What, the
uh,
nutritional value of a ruby isn't good enough for you?
Yeah, right? But yeah, I think Agricola is just like such a game that was like ahead of its time. It's still better than like 99.9% of the games that come out these days.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say like a game designer interested in Euro games, I would pick up that. I think if you're interested in party games, Hot Streak and the Gang are like really showing you like some new things in like lighter games. If you're interested in like dungeon crawlers, Gloomhaven is my favorite.
Yeah.
Although it's more strategic, but I'm a strategy game player, so I like that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if you're more interested in storytelling, then I would definitely say like play Vantage, like because what Vantage taught me is like doesn't like the game in that sort of game, it doesn't have to be like balanced to be fun. It doesn't have to be like super scripted or super strategic. If the story is interesting, then people who love stories will still love the game. So I would say like game designers interested in those kinds of adventure games, give Vantage a whirl. It might inspire you.
Rad. Yeah. I think new game designers should, from the games that I have played on that list, should take a look at all of those games. I would agree. I think those are really great educational games to just like get a feel for the genre, and also just like they're good games. So you're gonna have fun playing them already. Like it's good. Do that. You mentioned another game coming from Level 99. Now that the Street Fair and Fall Festival expansions are like soon to be put on Kickstarter, you have that game that you're working on. Is there anything else that's next for you other than the school year?
Yeah, right. Man, teaching it's a rewarding career, but it's so draining. Like I'm so tired when I get home. It's been so hard to work on game design, especially this early in the year. Um, but uh, but yeah, I'm working on a game with Keymaster. They haven't signed it yet, but I hope to get it to there. I'm developing it with them. It's kind of a follow up to Harvest, so we'll
Mm-hmm.
see what happens with that. But it's an entirely different game. And then also, I'm working on a game with a Houston publisher called Hoochu Games. Um, and they have a few games under their belt, but I'm working on like a co-op hurricane game, which is, uh, eh, personal to me because I've lived through several hurricanes growing
I
up in the
have to.
South. So,
Yep. I lived in
um,
Florida. Yep.
oh yeah, so
Yep.
you know.
I was there that
Uh,
year that they had like. I was there that year. I grew up fully in Florida until I was 18 years old. But I was there. The big year was the one that had like Charlie. We went through like half the alphabet all on like a span of like a month.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So,
but do you play as the Hurricanes or against the Hurricanes?
oh no. You're like emergency responders. You're basically helping the population prepare for the hurricane, and then
Yeah.
as the hurricane's going through, you're kind of like avoiding it because it'll, kill you. And then when it's gone through, you're like rescuing people.
Hmm.
So it's pandemic-ish, but there's no like, disease exploding cubes. It's more like, the hurricane's doing something, and then you have to respond to it. That type of co-op game.
Yeah. Gotcha. Rad. I am looking forward to all of these games. We have a couple listener questions here. I think you already answered some of them, but I will just go through them. The first is from Cameron Art, who said he's happy that we were able to grab you, and that he says you're a really talented and smart designer and a real joy to work with. Your response to
Oh,
that?
what a jerk. No, Cameron's awesome. Working with him was like amazing. I think we have a really good workflow together, and in fact, we started designing a game together, and then he got busy with his own publishing company and his own games.
Yeah.
So, and I think he has small children as well. So, getting a hold of him has been tough. But yeah, we have a game that's like it's developed, it's like ready to go. Any publishers listening that like heavy games, it's a heavy game. So like maybe you can express interest, and then I could say to Cameron like, "Hey, this publisher was reaching out to me about our game. Like, we need to get it on the list of things to try." So when you have them on, tell them I said that. Like, we need to
Yeah,
get.
I'll pass it on. Well, I was gonna say I feel like you're now beholden to when we put our when we put our post out saying, "Hey, any questions for Cameron?" You are now, I feel like, kind of legally required to
Yeah.
respond with some compliments, and then maybe also that.
Is this in BGG? Where do you put this post?
YouTube.
YouTube. Okay.
YouTube.
Great. Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Our next comment is from Zach Stoiber, who told me to ask you, and Level 99 is finally going to publish your next game, which you have answered here.
Yeah, hopefully Kickstarter next year. That's the hope. It's on the list. I mean, Level 99 is very busy. They have their irons and lots of fires. And I'm encouraging them to put it on the list because I think it'll be good. Also, if you're a Level 99 fan, please reach out to them about an Argent second edition. That's another project that we worked on, and I think it would do really well. And I would love to return to Argent and make that game a better game. So yeah, you should contact them.
His next, the rest of the comment says, "And what's going on with a new edition of Argent?"
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Like Brad, the owner of Level 99, he really takes those things into account. So like if fans of Argent will email him and be like, "Hey, I'd love to see another edition of Argent," like that will push him towards getting it on the schedule. So please do that.
And then our last comment is just from Blue Sec Pearl, who is a very frequent commenter on our channel, who just said, "Looking forward to the interview." And then he went through a little bit of a rules question that Cameron then through the comments was guiding him through how that rule works. So nice. Very fun little harvest community action going on in our comments.
Yeah, Cameron is so quick to respond to rules questions, and I feel like I'm on Board Game Geek like half of the day, but almost always when someone asks a rule question for Harvest, Cameron has already answered it. And I'm like, how are you doing that while running a publishing company and taking care of small children? I don't know. But yeah, he's really amazing and stuff like that.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Is there any final thoughts or comments you want to get out there into the world on this platform you're on right now?
Oh, well, I mean, I know a lot of us are struggling right now, and I would say like board games is such a great place to like reconnect with friends and family and people you care about. So keep gaming, keep buying games, and I'll keep making them. And thank you all so much for the support.
Yeah, well, thank you again for coming on. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in and being an awesome community. If you have anybody else you want to get on, viewers, please feel free to comment them, and I'll reach out as much as I can through whatever means I have possible. This interview is possible just because I met Trey at Gen Con, which was a very fortuitous meeting. As I went back to grab, Jack asked me to grab the character promo pack because he wasn't there in person. He was like, "Just grab it for me. I'll get it from you next time I see you." Okay. And then you happened to be there, and that was a really fun timing. So if you have anybody else to our listeners, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have been Eric with the Cardboard Herald.